do it.
Hello and welcome back to Women Who Write podcast. I'm your co-host, Radhaa Nilia, and today we have, of course, Miss Gila. Hello.
Hi, I'm Gila Nehemia. I'm so glad to be here today with you, Radha. We've haven't done it in a while, but I'm so glad we're jumping straight in.
Absolutely. We were just having a conversation on Telegram and we're like, everything she was saying, I was like, this is so great. Let's just record. Sometimes when we just have organic conversations, they're better, than totally pre-planning everything. And we were talking about sensuality and, being in a time in our lives where women come to these times where we need to rediscover our sensuality for ourselves because perhaps we've been single for a long time, we've been celibate for a long time, or perhaps we've just lost that connection. What do you think, Gila?
Yeah, I think, depending on where we are in our life, it could be with or without a partner. Even with a partner, sometimes I think we lose our sense of our own sensuality.
Mhm.
Age, we are either, some of us are pre-menopause, going into menopause, or even just having kind of like that routine sex, with a person, or even I think just on our own, feeling good with our bodies. Our bodies are changing. We have children, we stop having children, and then we get older. There's just so many things that happen in our lives
Sure.
that we disconnect from our own erotic selves, our own sensuality. I think it's a great topic to discuss because I think it's a real feeling that
Mhm.
everyone has, no matter where they are in their journey.
Yeah, or they get too busy with work. Some people are just so work focused. And, sensuality is something that we innately are. I think we're sensual beings. It's that aspect of us that's that aliveness, that childlike nature. In truth, sensuality is really about innocence too, in a way. It's that playful innocence. We don't
Right.
think of that, but that's really what it is. It's like the maiden who, she's just doing her thing and she doesn't notice, but she's just a central being. But that's also the same with the crone. The crone's wisdom is profoundly beautiful and sexy and sensual, and her confidence that she's gained in her life by all the struggles makes her so beautiful and sensual. And it's not really like an action, it's a being, it's an innate being. And I think we all have that, most of us all have that nature. It's just we suppress it sometimes, or even through heartbreak, we're like, I don't want to be sensual. I don't even want to be appealing anymore because I don't even want to invite any energies in. So we just shut that faucet. And then what happens is we wither within, and that's actually where our creative spark is in our divine sensuality. It's in our sacred being. And when we shut that off, we're not just shutting it off on the outside, it's inside and out. It comes from within. So when you turn that wellspring off, you're turning off all your creativity, your abundance, like many, many blessings come through our sensual nature, just being, being happy and joyful and playful and just seeing life. Like I'm sitting outside in front of bamboo, and if I just look at this bamboo, it's very erotic, it's very beautiful, it's very sensual, and I don't have to do anything to appreciate it. I'm in that place of wonder, you know, that wonder. And I think of sensuality as being that wonder. So we were talking about coming back into that because it's something we turn off so we can turn it back on, right?
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I think that our definitions of what those are influenced by our environment. So you were talking about the trees and the bamboo and how sensual it is. And like we normally don't think of it that way.
Mm.
And so then we normally don't, because we are like bombarded by images, in our outside life. But I think, I really liked what you said, because like it's in that stillness that you can connect to that, when you're in the forest or you're walking on a trail, or, when you're just still, you remember, how beautiful you are, regardless of whatever you think you should be.
Mm-hmm. The
So I think,
homogenized version, when we see so many curated images these days with social media, especially like Instagram, it really starts to affect us, and maybe even infect us about what sensuality. It's like a character of itself. It's no longer a being. It's more of a character that we're recreating, copying, pasting, and you see that on the TikTok culture, and there's nothing wrong with those places, but in those places people are copying and pasting and replicating, and instead of being, because it's almost like our spontaneous beingness is not doesn't feel as welcome, or isn't as receive, like I notice it's doesn't. I think that's what people desire. I desire to see that. When I see that in somebody and they're just being themselves, and to me that's like so sexy and beautiful. And I don't mean to objectify. I just mean like it's a beautiful thing. It's a divine thing. And sexy doesn't always mean objectifying. Like some things are beautiful, they're sexy, they're magical. That it's the energy, right? It's that energy of spontaneity and weirdness, and it's not homogenized to the point that it actually squeezes the true essence out of it. It looks perfect, but underneath it, it's like dead. You know what I mean? There's like a dead.
yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, what you were saying earlier, it's like when we are in our essence, when we are totally creative, we lose sight of like we're connected to the body, but we are just completely in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it's just so alluring, because we're authentic, we're true to ourselves. And I feel like that's what's kind of the disconnect sometime, because we disconnect because we think that our bodies, and I'm speaking for myself here, but I think many of us feel that our bodies need to be something,
Mm-hmm.
and that and then everything becomes compartmentalized,
Yes.
instead of actually, as you said earlier, like just
Ah,
being
yeah.
being being true to ourselves, because that is that's what's sexy, that's what's sensual, that's what turns you on, and then
Mhm.
will in turn turn other people on, regardless of if they're your partner or your friend. It's like you
Yeah.
just get turned on, like excited. And I
Excited.
think
Yeah.
we miss that somehow in our lives now.
I think I think I think so many things have become incredibly dull. Like really boring. It's so boring. It's so perfect, but it's so boring. And I feel bored too, um, with a lot of things, because I noticed that maybe I'm censoring myself too, because I have been watching all these homogenized things, and this whole culture of what is beautiful or what is not beautiful. And I've never fit into the mold of what was beautiful or what was in vogue, so to speak, like in growing up, like in America. I we didn't have um brown dolls, brown Barbies. We had, and I remember going to a store and asking for one with my grandma, and I left crying because they didn't have one. And so I always felt like something was super, like I was never going to be that beautiful, and and so that takes away from our spontaneity too, because we just need to be okay with what we are and who we are, and come back to that. Like, what makes somebody beautiful now to me is their true, or like their true original beauty. Like to me that's even so much more appealing. It's so, and so we're getting on the topic of that, but we're talking about sensuality and how the raw, authentic part of us is the most beautiful part of us, and
Yeah.
yeah, so coming back to that. So we've been asking that question. How do we come back to that? How do we come back to ourself? No outside approval needed for this. We can do this within a container of ourselves, other women. We can do this through writing and poetry, which gets us back into our being, at least for me. I come back into me. And it's kind of like our soul, poetry is like writing a little soul note.
Yeah, I think it also connects straight into our heart. I've been doing this kind of sensual work for a while,
Mm.
and I feel like I've moved away from it for a bit. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation to try to get back into it. And I think it's just like, yeah, moving into our heart and soul, feeling all of who we are and how we want to be turned on, how we want to get excited, and how that's totally fine, whatever that is.
Mm.
We don't want to fit a mold. We want to be ourselves, and sometimes that's a challenge. So I think this course, this conversation, is inviting everyone to walk into that,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
explore that together as we're all shifting into this new paradigm.
Oh, so beautifully stated. And that's the thing about this conversation. It's not homogenized. We didn't sit and write a bunch of notes. We were just like, let's just have this conversation because we want to be imperfectly perfect. We want to be raw and real. And we just want to have like the rawest version about a return to sensuality that's not perfect, because it's not a perfect journey. None of it's a perfect journey. And the journey coming back to ourselves is definitely not perfect. We have to deprogram so much, and it's a journey of self-love. We are coming back home to a place that's safe, and we're creating safety within ourselves, because many times when if we didn't fit in, if we felt rejected, there's a feeling of not being safe. And in order to flourish in our sensuality, safety is everything. Everything. The feeling, and even to be with a partner and to be in a sensual space, there has to be a level of trust, safety, boundaries that protect and hold, these containers that create a safe space. Because if it's just a free flowing space to the point where we don't have any boundaries, sometimes we feel lost. So,
Right.
so yeah, for me personally, it's very important to have a safe container for anything we do, whether that's relationship, whether that's curating a book or exploration. And I like what you said. This is an exploration, right? We're exploring.
Right. Right. And I would also add, I wanted to say earlier, but it slipped my mind, to be seen, and not just to be seen on the outside, to be seen on the inside.
Mm.
And that takes all the things that you mentioned, as well as one receiving that fully being seen, and also allowing ourselves to fully being seen, which I think it's a two-way street.
Mhm.
And if and if you'd like to truly open your heart, going back to all the things that we said, open your heart, opening your soul, to yourself and to another and to others, because you can actually show up as a sensual being all the time.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I think many of us, including myself, hold back.
Mhm.
I think part of that exploration is, why do we hold back?
Mhm.
What are we afraid of?
Yeah. What are we afraid of? Wow. Wow. And so these are the things that we will be prompting into conversation, into writing, into journaling. It is because when we start to go into those places where there might be shielding, I think of armor, you know, wounding underneath. Those are very delicate places. And as Rumi says, like the wound is where the light enters. Is that the right way he says it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think of that. I don't, when I think of a wound, I think, okay, it's an opportunity, by exposing the wound, at least to myself, then I have an opportunity to bring that light in and really fill that right up, fill it up. Why do I have to keep going around limping? Like, let's fill it up. And so this is a process of filling ourselves up. So many of us are running on, empty tanks, and this is part of nourishing back into ourselves so that we have more of overflow. And it's taking that sacred time, and we're really gonna explore. And Gila and I were saying like how we're equally excited to be part of this as much as we're going to be leading it, because it's also something for us to come back to within ourselves, into our own poetry, into our sensual poetry. There's a huge level of allowance here where we can play in this space. There's not that constriction. So it's going to be so juicy and so delicious, and a total return to our, as you said earlier, our divine sensuality.
Yes, yes. Totally agree. Aho, I love the way you said that. And I just want to add, you know, with that quote, a wound is where the light enters. Honestly, like I'm just giving a little anecdote here, but my daughter, when we were in India, she fell and we were in this like ashram or some place that had really literally not that much light. We were like in the forest. And
Oh,
we had to actually leave in order for her to heal so the light could enter to heal the wound.
wow.
So it's not just a quote in with words, it's
Yeah.
actual health,
Mm-hmm.
which I think, in turn of what we're talking about is also important for our health,
Mm-hmm.
because we need all of ourselves to
Mm-hmm.
fully be in full form.
Yeah.
And this exploration is going to allow us, as well as our participants, to embrace all of that so
Yes.
that we can be, the fullest and most amazing people that we truly are.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I just saw the visual of her walking into the light and receiving, and just like I had to come outside because I didn't have the light inside. So we're always going to where the light is, because that fills us up. And Gila and I, we go way back, but we've done quite a few workshops together. We did womb rage as one of them, and that was a really fun exploration of how, you know, rage gets stuck within our womb, because we're receivers, obviously. And so when you're receiving energy, sometimes it's not all divine. It's not filtered. It's not, we have to actually purify ourselves and purify our wombs and purify our spaces. And, you know, um, these are our sacred temples. And so releasing that rage and acknowledging it, giving a voice to it, was very important. It's something you can't just bypass. And you will see a lot of rage manifested, I believe, in women, and they come as like cysts, or like, issues in the womb. And there's a prevalent, it's become very prevalent now because there's a lot of like emotional congestion in the womb. So
Yes, yes.
releasing
Um,
releasing that has been extremely powerful, and leading others to release it. And then so we're gonna explore different spaces. We might even do poetry, like talking to your womb, to your heart, to different parts of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual being, because we're all connected. It's not just one little piece, and that's that. We're all connected. So we are going to do exactly that. We're going to be exploring. And that is why it's so exciting, because we need something, we need adventure in our life, you know. We don't have to always go out and travel sometimes. Sometimes we can travel within. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so much within us to discover, to be like, wow, I didn't know that was there. My heart has a voice, my womb has a voice. Like there is so much going on within us, and we just really take that. We may not take it for granted. We may just not know about it. We may not have been ever exposed to such a thought, you know? And so talk about the mind body connection, you know? So I'm really excited about this, Gila, and we are gonna start, I believe it was September 15th.
Yep.
And it's called A Return to Sensuality. It's an ongoing writing course for women. And we would love to invite you in, you know, as we move into a different change of season. We are going to be going inwards more. We've already had the summer fun, and now we are going to be more reflective. It's just also part of the season. And
Mm-hmm.
we might want to think about what happened over the summer, what's happened over many summers in our body, what's happened in our life. And so I just I feel this is going to be so nourishing for all of us. And I'm personally calling in the divine women who are ready to receive sisterhood, to receive being held in the sacred space, and also the playfulness and joy and the eruptions of joy and bliss that will come through, and the poetry that is going to be birthed through this process is going to be so delicious. I can't wait. So, oh,
Yes,
oh,
it sounds so amazing, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. So thank you so much, Radha, for inviting me, and we invite all of you who this has piqued your interest. You'll find details below on how to contact us.
absolutely. And we will talk more about the book that will be going with it, but that'll be for another time. For
Right.
now, we just wanted to say, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for connecting. Thank you from coming all the way. Do you want to share where you are right now?
I'm in Israel.
Mhm.
So I am, yeah, connecting to Radha in North Carolina, which is just also truly amazing. So we're birthing a new way of being
Mhm.
through all of these challenges that all of you know about. So I'm just so happy to be a part of this, and I really feel like this is going to open up a lot of spaces and places that we not usually tread,
Yeah,
don't usually tread.
beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on and all the way from Israel. And we're sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Bye bye.